All right, there we go. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Mieko Ozeki. Some of you might remember her. Some of you might have been lucky enough to see her at some of our other workshops. She is the director of Radiance Studios based in Vermont, and she's our resident digital marketing whiz. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Mieko, and you can take it away.
My slides are going all right. I just want to make sure I'm not doing my my notes there. We're all set, Janet? Great, awesome. So hello everyone. I'm really excited to do this again, and I actually really appreciate, I just got a lot of your feedback and notes upon registration, so I've integrated some of the notes, but I'll also kind of address some of the questions that you have in those and some of the challenges you face with digital marketing. So let's see, next, Jenna. So we're going to start with this agenda is focused first and primarily around clarity about your message and what your brand voice is, and then followed up about kind of what you already have and what you will need when it comes to your digital marketing portfolio. And then a little bit we'll hit on some things like having a plan for your content around your season. And last, we'll talk about engaging with your audience and what that means and what that looks like. So, as mentioned, I own a business called Radiance Studios, which focuses on marketing for small businesses. Particularly, I work with women-owned businesses as well as farms. Most of them have been up here in Vermont. I'm also part of a lot of agricultural organizations, including NOFA Vermont, and also serving on our governor's Future of Agriculture Commission, focused on marketing. And just kind of that background, in addition to, I was a former market director for the Burlington Farmers Market. So for those of you who are involved in direct markets, I really understand your position and what you're trying to do, whether it's direct sales or trying to do online sales as a result of kind of the adjustments we've made during COVID. So I come with that kind of experience. So one of the things I hear a lot, and I read through some of the initial kind of what were the wins, what were the challenges in running your social media, was that there's a lot of anxiety around what platforms do I get on? What kind of content? How do I do a reel? How do I do these different things? And sometimes I think the social media platforms kind of get ahead and kind of confuse people on what they really need to focus on with their businesses. What is your message? What are you about? And how do you broadcast that information? And putting in perspective where social media stands. So where I always talk about social media is that first and foremost, you need a comfortable space in the digital space. You need to have a solid website. That is what I call your base camp, and is the place where essentially all the information that people need to find, how they should be able to purchase your products, what your business is about, you know, where you're located. All of those things are really important, and you have to have a solid website. Thereafter, all the other platforms outside of your control are your social media platforms. Even though you're creating content, you're leaving it kind of out into the void for other people through your messages to come get familiar with you, and maybe at the end of the day, both land at your website or sign up to your newsletter so they can get continuous information about you. But again, I want to put in perspective, your base camp, your solid, your foundation to your digital marketing is your website. And then followed by that, you could utilize social media platforms and other platforms as a way to amplify your message. So, as I said, social media amplifies your brand, but first you need to refresh your understanding of your brand and your value proposition. I think sometimes all too often you're like, well, I sell this product and that's what I do. And that's not just what you do. It is part of what you do. The products are part of what you do, but it's the process, it's the location, it's all aspects of why you're interested in being a business and having your organization or your farm, etc. And so you got to be very clear about it. Thank you. You got to be very clear on what that brand and your value proposition is. So where did that come from? Well, one of the feedback we received was somebody wrote, I want to develop a clear and consistent quote brand across our social media that centers the true nature of the farm, that we are a neighborhood store, a community building place, a family farm, right? And so by brand, I like to go, and I didn't write this in my presentation, but normally when I think about brand, it is basically your reputation. What is the consistent promise you deliver for your business, and how do you demonstrate that, right? So in this case, for the person who is talking about wanting to have a consistent brand, they want people to know that they are a neighborhood store, a place for a community, and also a family farm. And so how do you maintain that reputation consistently so that basically it sticks with folks? So sometimes I know when I hear from people, they're like, brand feels like icky to talk about, like I'm not some label or anything else. But another way is to show, again, as I said, it's reputation. What do people know about you? So what your brand, I always say what your business's brand identity may be obvious to you, but the question is it clear to your customers? Do they know? Could they repeat to you what they know about your farm? And does it align exactly with the way you perceive yourself and your business? So can your customers talk about your company's qualities, the products, and then basically say the same thing to friends who have not interacted with your brand? So those are things that you want to kind of seek out feedback on. So understanding your brand and defining how you represent your biz, it's really important to organize what people perceive and what they experience about your business, whether they're directly, so whether meeting you in person, going to your farm, or indirectly by picking up your product in a store or through some other channel. So it's basically the feeling that a product or a business evokes. Oftentimes people think a brand is just the name, is it catchy, and a logo. But actually it's really about what is the identity and what is the quality of the thing, like things first. Everything else is ancillary. Get your logo. If you have a great logo that people can associate with, that's awesome. But again, should represent and align with what your business is about. So we're not going to do this exercise here, but it's certainly something that is worth revisiting what your reputation, what your brand identity is. And so this is an exercise I often do with small businesses. I work with them to kind of identify what are the key components of their business, because then this will inform things like content and how they project themselves through advertising and other ways. So first, I always recommend getting sticky notes. If you have different colors, that is the best. And find a blank wall or uncluttered desk to do this exercise. On each Post-it note, you're going to write down a word or a short sentence on one of the notes and answer the following questions. First one is, in 3 to 5 words, describe what is special about your business. What do you think is the special sauce about your business? You can also do this in a notebook, but I like you put each word on a Post-it note, and that is going to be helpful to this part of this exercise. So in 3 to 5 words, describe what is special about your business. In 3 to 5 words, describe the qualities of your product. So what are the things that you ascribe to your products when you describe it? And then write 3 to 5 words of what you hear from your customers on your business. So there's your business, and then specifically your products or the experience you generate on your farm or at your organization. And that's a quick exercise. When you've written out these notes, and you'll pretty much have more, what I have people do is I have them basically in the center, write one sticky note with your business name and place it at the center of your blank space. And then start to lay out all these descriptor sticky notes that you've written and basically center around your company name. Take a look, take a step back. You might find there are more words that you want to add. And the next part of the exercise is, as you add more words, ask for feedback from people who may work for you, people who are close, who have maybe more characteristics that can describe about your business, and add those descriptors on the wall. Finally, you want to write a brand statement for your business. So taking note of things in addition to kind of descriptors about your business, noting things like colors, images, fonts that align with your brand palette. What is the thing that kind of it feels close to what you're trying to represent through the visuals? What I would always do is then, with your brand statement, share that with, again, people who are familiar with your brand, loyal customers, and see what they can add to it, and then revise your brand statement. And your brand statement is going to be the foundation for how you're going to create and share your content and what you're going to advertise about your business. And at the end of the day, when you're posting something and people react to it, it hopefully will align with what you really want people to perceive about your business, how you want them to feel about your business. Again, a brand is about the emotions that people feel about your business, and it's a matter of whether they trust your business and want to give their money towards whatever product or service that you provide. Again, and it is all about consistency. So being consistent with that brand. So the next part is talking about your digital portfolio. And I'm going to give you a priority list. So everyone wants to have the whole kitchen sink, sign up all the different profiles and all this other stuff. And as I mentioned earlier, having a website is really priority. But here's how I look at it. These are 4 areas that should be in your digital marketing portfolio. I start from the top and then I go to the bottom 2. So the first one is, and make sure that you have an updated mobile-friendly website. Given the population of people who are using mobile devices, it's really key to have a well-made website that leads people to the information or the action that you want them to do. And so making sure it's updated, that you update the content. Second, and this is one I think is also important that people actually don't realize they can do for free, is to make sure you are managing your Google My Business page listing. And I'll show you what that looks like later in the presentation. A lot of you, actually, I did look at some of your Google listings and noticed that a lot of you have not claimed your Google business page. And it's so important to your search engine optimization. So when people search for you, it is so important to be able to be in control of the panel on the right of the search results that have your business. Next are review platforms. So if you're offering whether it's an agro-tourism experience or whether it's your food or whether you're part of a market, etc., these are really important sites to be able to engage with past customers as well as potential customers who are looking to experience and look at your site. So we'll talk about that next. Last, I talk about social media platforms. So everyone thinks that you should do every single social media platform that is out there, which is trendy, etc. I will say that from my experience as somebody who has built a micro-influencing platform myself, you have to pick and choose the platform best suits you, that you want to do, and that you can be consistent with. And so that's why it's in my fourth category. And it's at the end of what we're doing is amplifying your brand. So this is a longer chapter of this presentation. And because as I said, I weigh a lot on talking about websites and why it's important. And this part of this was in my previous presentations, but I've done some modifications. So if you've seen this presentation before with CMAP on websites, there are some modifications and additions that we have done there. So first and foremost, having a website is your virtual real estate on the internet. Just for stats, as of 2022, there are 2 billion websites, and of those, 400 million are active. And of those, 20 million are e-commerce websites. And probably as some of you have done during the pandemic, where you may have switched when in-person was a little difficult and you had to do online sales, e-commerce you're probably one of the millions who joined the e-commerce world to build a site. So here's an emphasis here's something I really want to emphasize. Impressions matter, right? So just like in person, a first impression matters when people, whether it's a handshake or whether they see how you introduce yourself, how you greet people. Well, the internet is this passive way to introduce yourself to others. And that is how a lot of people are kind of getting to know your farm, your business. So it takes 50 milliseconds, count that, that's not even a full seconds, 50 milliseconds for a user to form an opinion on your website. 94% of that is the first impressions are design related. So is it immediately when they first see the top of your homepage, when it comes up, whether it's on their mobile device or on their desktop, is the first impression, is it something that appeals to them? 38% of users will stop using a website if they find the layout is unattractive. So all it takes is having text that's not laying out really correctly, images that are not loading properly. So that's will convince people to stop using your site. And then on 83% of consumers expect websites to load in less than 3 seconds. So this is one of those things you can ask your friends to try loading your website and see how long it takes. If it takes too long to download an image onto when they load your site, that's worth knowing. And that's also maybe help you figure out maybe you need to either revise or upgrade your website. So why is a website essential to your business? So, if you're in a farmer's market, you have your tent and you have your layout, or if you have your farm stand, that's as direct market as possible. And you're hoping that people get the impression when they see the layout of your table, people are going to want to come and purchase things from you. Well, the website is, again, your passive way for people to learn more about your business. It's an opportunity to do a more whole story, but of controlling the info about your brand, figure out whether you're reputable and trustworthy, looking at your products. It allows you to sell your products online. It's also more affordable than doing traditional advertising. If you've ever experienced trying to do advertising in a newspaper based on size of ad, you can see it gets pretty expensive, and especially if you're doing multiple runs. It's easier to keep up to date. So again, if you have a good developer or you learn to develop your own site, it is one of the easiest way for you to keep up to date in terms of content and maintaining that content. And it's also a new opportunity to find new local customers. So again, because when people are searching, they'll be able to see your website in a listing and know that you're in their area. So as I mentioned, I emphasize being a mobile-friendly site is so important. Now, I know a lot of farms, I think the stats, depending on sites, sometimes there are people from a certain demographic, age demographic, mostly spends their times on tablets or on desktop, but a good portion of users, a lot of us have mobile devices, will go and search about a business through our mobile device, particularly also if we're connected through social media. So as I said, 92% of all internet users are mobile users. 82% are smartphone users. They look up products they're interested on their phones before they make a purchase. And 2/3 of internet users use mobile apps to shop. And 66% of all e-commerce shopping is done on mobile devices. So if anything, as I said, a good design website is the priority, but also having it be mobile friendly. I know some folks have been either had custom builds, and sometimes those custom builds don't necessarily don't load onto mobile phones well. So this is something worth checking. So if you already have a website or are stumped on building one, just your mindset about how your mindset around it is key to the success of implementing this essential toolkit. As I said, your website is your base camp amidst, as I said, the social media noise. Some people have, I think a majority of you have done this, but I think it's still important. Owning your domain is really key. So make sure you own not just the .com, but you own the .net or .co or .farm. There's all different designations, but make sure you're able to hold on to those different combinations of your business's domain. And these are obviously there's different services that do it. I love working with Hover.com because they have reasonable rates. They also don't upsell you, and they have great customer service, and they connect well with the majority of all-in-one website platforms. So if you're going, like, let's say you figured out either you haven't built a website or you figured out you might need to revise your website. One of the things that's important, whether you do it yourself or you hire a web developer, is basically to come up the scope or project scope of your website. So first and foremost, functionality. Ask yourself, what is the purpose of this website? What do you want customers to do when they visit your site? What will your customers get when they visit your site? So it may be e-commerce, or you might want them to be able to sign up to a newsletter, or you might want to be able to provide content in regards to if you have a CSA. You want to provide content in regards to, like, how do you prepare these different foods, or how do you get more engaged with the CSA and what we're doing? Aesthetics. What is the visual presentation? Do you want it? How simple do you want it, or how complicated? How much do you want people to be visually awed by your site? And then message. What is the tone you are trying to convey to new and returning customers? Going back to thinking about your brand message, how are you going to bring your brand statement and what your business stands for into your design? How will you do that through your content in terms of your text, or whether it's the images you select? And on the right, what you see is kind of a sample heading, like a sample of when a designer looks at building like a landing page and building a website. This is kind of what we think a lot about as the text. Where are we going to place different kind of media, etc. And then we also think about content integrations. So the mainstays here are YouTube, Vimeo, which is more longer format content, and then social media content. These are things that you can plug into your websites. When it comes to selecting websites, there are two options. And there are custom, and a lot of people think that you need to use custom, which means hiring a website developer to do some really complicated coding for you, which now, the days of almost the last 20 years, you really don't need custom. A majority of business sites don't need custom coding. Most folks can use the all-in-one platforms, which are user-friendly to build. You can build your own website, and also some of the e-commerce websites have these options. There are pros and cons with custom designs. With custom, you can, make make features and functionality act the way you'd hope it would for your website. One of the issues and cons with a custom site is that sometimes you're dependent on the web developer to maintain your site or do platform updates. This happens in the case of using open source coding like WordPress or Drupal, a couple other languages where people customize your website with those languages. And also may mean that you would do separate subscriptions for hosting your site, having a domain, as well as having a platform subscription. So they're all separate, and that's kind of one big expense that is with different agencies. The all-in-one platforms, one of the great things is these are all closed code, so closed platforms. So meaning they are handle the updates and you don't have to worry about it. Nothing really breaks about your website because everything on the platform side, they'll fix it. They will mostly do the hosting, domain, and platform as part of one big subscription. And they also, sometimes they have, the cons of it is sometimes they just have templates and features that may not fit for what you need. So I go to the route of all-in-one website platforms. I work with Squarespace. That's where most of my clients, where I build their stuff. Others go with Weebly, Wix, and WordPress. I have mixed experience with people who use the all-in-one platform of WordPress versus the custom coding, but I have a lot of people who leave WordPress to go to Squarespace for one reason or another. Then you have your e-commerce platform. So you can sometimes link your domain to these e-commerce platforms, set up a site within these platforms where you can sell your products. So Square, a lot of you probably have a Square reader that you use for sales, or maybe you use a different one. There's also Shopify. And again, these are tools that are used. I just realized I have to erase one piece of text there. One of the things is when organizing a website, I talk about website architecture, and you don't really have to be an expert at this, but it's basically an outline of what is the content, what kind of content you want, how do you want people to, when they come to your website, what pages you want them to go to, what should be on there, what are features that you have. My number one rule, though, is that when people are navigating through your site, when it comes to the main menu, so that if you see on a website, you see like 5 large items and maybe a sub page with it. I usually say like you shouldn't really have more than 5 menu items, because the more you have in pages, it actually looks sloppy in terms of your design. So a minimum, you have your your homepage or your main landing page when people arrive there. So that would go and connect to whatever your businessname.com. It's the first page they see. Another one about, as well as maybe a contact page. And within that, there's other pages that you can have, maybe a shop or a calendar or etc. So those are important to basically minimize the amount of confusion with having too many pages. And then create page layouts that break up text with both pictures and video content. You know, being in a farm, you have a lot of great visual as well as auditory content for people to digest information, because the attention span has gotten increasingly shorter. And so a lot of people don't spend a lot of time reading a page on their site unless they feel like they can invest in it. So capture them with really strong visuals that also load quickly, and then they may stay on longer onto your web page to be able to read the rest of the content. I'm going to take a brief break. I just want to make sure if there's any, I want to question right now that is brewing. I don't know, Shannon or James, if you want to say
There
anything.
aren't questions in the chat quite yet, but if
Okay.
you all have questions you want to unmute and share aloud, we're a small enough group where that's totally possible, or you can throw your question in the chat. And if it's not coming to you now, just sit with it and we'll have a little Q&A session at the end of this.
Cool. I just needed a little bit of a break with my voice. Okay. So in terms of your content, this is going to be relevant as well when you do social media posting, is that you want really good quality photos, video, as well as capture articles that are written about you and your business. Any features like that, be able to have a list of all those and be able to put those on your website, as well as testimonials, things that customers share with you, whether via email or on the review sites. Just capturing that and putting it on your website is really helpful. Again, design your site for multiple screens, and as I said, the heavy emphasis on being mobile friendly, or for folks who use iPads, etc. Just know that you have to, hopefully your site can adjust to those different sizes. And the way you can tell that is if you're on the desktop now, you can go and look at your website, and then if you can resize your browser window, and you can go whittle it down to like a tablet form is about 3/4 the size of your browser window, and gives an idea of like how you should be able to see your website kind of cinch into that box easily. If it doesn't, and you see your design is spilling over, then it's not mobile or tablet friendly. And then if you actually go to about 1/3 of the size, if you resize your browser window to 1/3 of the size, and it adjusts the site and content adjust, then you should be able to get an idea of what people see on mobile. Some of the all-in-one platforms have ways for you to be able to see what the content looks like in all those, whether it's desktop, tablet, or mobile. The end goal for a lot of these sites is to, I would say, build your email list. So one of the things that in terms of the trends is that there's got to be ways to get more content to people directly speaking to your customers. So getting newsletter subscriptions is so important in that, and hopefully you can do at least a minimum once a month reaching out to your customers so they know what's going on with your business and they follow along, maybe whether it's your events or upcoming products, etc. My favorite tools that I use for newsletters, I've used the majority of the ones that are out there in terms of email newsletter platforms. My favorite one right now is Flowdesk. And the reason is it's one price for the year to have as many subscribers and send as many emails as you want. Companies like Constant Contact and MailChimp, they do have a free level if you have under a certain number of subscribers and as many emails. But once you hit their cap, then you go into a pay mode and you pay like number of subscribers plus how many emails you send out, which can get very expensive. I know for MailChimp, it's about, I think, 2,000 subscribers, and you can use it for free for up to that 2,000 subscribers. And basically it cuts down probably to like 10% of the features that you can use if you're not subscribed. So I normally recommend people go to MailChimp if they have under 2,000 subscribers and it works out well until they want to do something more, then you have to do the paid subscription, which gets expensive. So I've started to use Flowdesk for the purpose of not spending that much money on membership subscriptions and numbers of emails I send out. Your website, what is also, once you've built your website, or if you currently have your website, what's important is the analytics, feedback on your website content. And so this is a snapshot of traffic that's coming from kind of via Google, then through Squarespace, but basically of one of the sites that I've worked on. And it gives you an example of kind of the number of visits that are happening to the site, what kind of devices, what operating system that they're working on, what time of day. You'll see peaks in terms of when people are looking at content, and it might be a result of an action like a social media post, or sending out a newsletter and putting a call to action where people click on it and they go directly to a certain page on your website. So this is really important, because it, just like also with social media, you can see where people are engaged, and you can formulate your content to meet that, like what people are interested in looking at. You can also see how long people are spending reading and on those pages. The more advanced version, so if you feel like you're so far along with your website, you want to see what's called UX, the user experience, with your website. One of the products I have tried, and I suggest to clients who have pretty advanced websites, but they want to know that it's actually working the way they hope it works, is there's a program called Hotjar, and what it will do is, you can see here in this snapshot, will show kind of heat maps. Where are people more frequently browsing and touching parts of your content on your website? Where are they more likely to go? How long are they going to spend? So it's a little bit more in depth. It's a visual version of seeing the analytics for your website. It can go one step further, record what people's where their mouse is going, and the behavior of where they're clicking, and if the information is pretty obvious to where they need to go, like if they're meeting the goal that you intended, whether it's, hey, we want you to go and browse our shopping cart. Is it really our shop? Is it easier for you to navigate? If it's not, where is the sale dropping off? And you can identify, placement of things visually that are not working for those customers. But this is a more higher level, but if you are trying to figure this out, I recommend using this product. Once you've created your website, it's so important to make it live and then announce it to your friends and people around you. So the way I do that is I put the domain name in an email, and I say to people, like, check out our new website, or we revised our website. Love to get your feedback. And hopefully what you get is people clicking on it, spending some time, maybe giving some feedback. But the goal is you want them to click on your website and as much as possible, so it encourages the search engines to find your site faster and put it at the top of the list when people are searching for your farm and products. So again, I put a whole lot of emphasis on website, but as I said, your website is your storefront in a virtual world. It's the way for people to passively engage with your business, but it is an important way. It's where people are gathering information about your business and why they should visit it. So this is the next part, which is going to be short, but it's give you an impression of what we're seeking. So your Google page and review platforms.
Sorry, Miyako, can I jump in first? I
Sure.
did get a question about websites in the chat that I wanted
Sure.
to make sure we got
Yeah.
to where we were talking websites.
Okay, cool. Let's do it.
So the question was, thinking from a manner of simplicity, would it make sense to have only an e-commerce platform but no other website if folks are really just focused on the e-commerce aspect for how they're doing things? Are both necessarily needed, or do you think there's a way to use one or the other, or particularly e-commerce over another? How would you think about that?
So here's how we think about it. That's a good question because it's a matter of what you're willing to commit to. So first, are you happy with the way your e-commerce site lays out your products as well as gives you the opportunity to talk about your business, right? So it's not just a shop, but it allows you to create pages, which you can in Shopify, and when you can in Square. You can do a little bit of a brief descriptions about your business and other aspects, make social media, sign up to a newsletter, etc. But they do it in a very, like, the templates are very strict. So if you like that, you can maintain that and the way it appears, stick with just e-commerce. The other websites, a lot of the all-in-one platforms, they also have their own e-commerce way, but they have a more robust tools for you to build your website. So it comes down to, do you think it's visually appealing to your customers, and what do your customers say about your site? Is it easy to manage, navigate, etc.? And is it something that you want to maintain and use? So I don't know if that helps, but I feel like the choice really depends on whether you want to, maintain that site and you have control of that site. So with e-commerce, it's a little bit more stricter, but with like a website, you have a little bit more play in it. But yeah, I think what works for you, go with it. But remember, you got to promote it. And also the best thing is if you can tie your domain to that e-commerce site, that is a big deal. That will be helpful to your business.
Thank you, Mika.
So in terms of Google My Business, or your Google, my Google My Business page, these are these little boxes that people see. If they Googled the name of your business, they'll see a box that pops up with all your business information. But it's also next to a website. It's the thing where it's another landing page. When people are just randomly searching for something, they will be able to see that information in one short layout. So here's what it looks like. I did take one of the CMAP members who were hopefully registered, I think, but this is what I look for. So I Googled them. So far it looks like they have been maintaining their Google My Business page, but this is what it looks like in terms of when people Google the business, you're going to see the top 10 listings, everything that is searchable, what most people find that comes up. And then this side, this is the kind of Google My Biz profile. The buttons that you'll have control over is adding your website and having your directions to your place. And then also if you have a phone number associated, it's also where people will find the hours for your business. And then also questions and answers, and see like all the questions that people have. And it looks like they have these questions, and maybe people are engaging in that this business is engaging with folks who have questions. And then this is also where people put their reviews. They put their pictures about your business. This is huge real estate. If you consider that the size of this is what you would put in a newspaper ad, this is big, and this is going, has lots and lots of views. So this is something that is free and is essential for your business. Again, also people view this information not just through kind of the browsers, but they also view this through a bunch of other platforms, including Google Maps. When people are searching, this is the information that pops up. And the way you don't have a Google My Business profile is you Google yourself, your business, and you don't see a listing come up. This is a blank white. Then essentially you would just go to, oh God, I think it's Google My Business. You just could enter in Google My Business, and it'll come up with the login. And James, if you could put that in, that'd be great. But that's free. You can as long as you also have a Gmail account, you can go and create that profile. And what else I was gonna say? But if a box does show up and people are leaving reviews and they have been pinpointing that your business is there, but you haven't ever managed it, you'll see here in this like line over here, so instead of suggest and edit, it will say, you know, claim this business. And then you can go from there and claim your business. What they'll do, there's some, Google has a tactic for verifying that this is your business. So you just have to follow the prompts to make sure you can maintain that. And I'm not sure if there's any questions in regards to that, but that is my thing. So in terms of review sites, I know these ones feel so antiquated, but it's still relevant. People still use Yelp and they still use TripAdvisor. So if you're involved with agritourism, TripAdvisor is going to be huge for people describing your farm, what activities you do, etc. So you can create a profile there and maintain responding to reviews or what people are saying about your business. You can't ever really squash negative reviews. Same thing for Google My Business. The only thing you can do is respond in a courteous way back to those who provided a negative review, you know, just being courteous, because also customers who look at those reviews read also both the negative and the positive, and they also look at how the business owner responds. And they kind of make a split decision on whether they trust or want to engage with your business. Same thing with Yelp. Yelp reviews almost everything. And so again, taking claim of your Yelp profile is going to be important. I don't know if there's any questions in regards to that. Cool.
There were a couple questions that came in, not necessarily about that, but folks were asking about using Linktree.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that part. Yes.
Okay, great.
It's gonna come later on.
I saw this come in. Perfect.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so we're going to talk about planning. So if you understand what your message is and you've built in some of the content and you've established your website's suitable for people to be able to see, it's not going to turn people off if it doesn't load properly, or that it's visually difficult for people to navigate, then we're going to get to the next part, which is planning. So the principles I would say of digital marketing is the 3 C's. You're going to create content. You're also going to collect content. So, you know, content created by others. So the example is reviews or other images, collaborations that might happen of an event, or someone saying something amazing about your business. And then you're also going to curate. So you're going to select from all of that content and figure out what is the content you want to share, and does it align with your brand or what you believe your reputation is for your business. Now the noise, top 3 right now, and that covers the demographics from 16 and older. I know I just cut off everyone from 65 up, but covers everyone. Is, you know, TikTok is the trending social media platform for folks to engage with brands, then Instagram, and then Facebook. And Facebook, again, is covering more of an older demographic, interesting enough, and I'll talk about that a little later. So planning content, I know one of the big things that's overwhelming, and this is what you can do now in a more quiet period, is to just write a timeline of what are the activities that you are doing, what events may be happening for your business. And I wrote this out as if like it's the regular growing season. If you have, you know, in the January to March period, you're doing a lot of planning. Well, let people know what is you're planning about. Get people excited, engaged in this early quiet part about what's going on with your business or things that you're about to launch. If you're looking at April through June, where we're merging with more like farmers markets or just springtime, getting people who are going to get outside, maybe we go out to buy your products. This is what you can tell them, like what they're initially going to be, the initial offerings that you're going to have out there. and where and when. This is the time to inform people where are you going to be and when you're going to be, so that they know early, and then you have to say it consistently up till the day the event happens. And then the July to September is just keeping up the kind of momentum of having people to know that what's, you know, what you have harvested, or what are your products, or what experiences are offered, just keeping people up to date. And that's whether it's through your e-newsletter or through your social content. But actually, you know, the social content will, when you do a post, it will most likely alert people that they should pay attention, that if they aren't signed up to your newsletter, which has a more extended version, or to your website, they should sign up for now, so they are always in the know of what's going with your business. And as we're looking into the winter time, then maybe it's something like you're wrapping up, there's holiday sales, holiday markets, etc. This is the content where you get festive, you get people thinking about what they can buy, what they can bring home, who they can share it with. So in this timeline, it helps you to, just like how you're if you're, you know, on a farm, you're planning your harvest, it's kind of it's on a quarterly basis. You're thinking about what are the different things that you can share with people that will get them excited to come and engage with your business. So this is from a workshop I ran last week for small business owners, but what we did was we took the whole concept of the Post-it notes, and we laid out different events that are happening for their business and what they want to talk about in a quarterly manner. And then once we finished that timeline, it helped them kind of think about like what are additional things that they could do, as well as kind of put together a schedule for what they're going to post and when they're going to post it on social media, website, email, newsletter. So having that outline now is helpful than when you are in the middle of in your business and kind of like a chicken with your head cut off, trying to figure out what you got to post. So having this kind of timeline outline will give you a little bit of solace of what content you already know you're going to have, what are you already going to do, and how are you going to share that information. So successful content themes that come up over and over again, whether it's in social media or through kind of website, etc., that people like to hear. They like to talk about, they like to see, whether through a video or through images, they like to see process and the product. So think backwards. How did that product get developed? And then what was, then kind of lean back to how was it developed to get to this awesome thing that people get to enjoy? Doing a story about your business is really is helpful, reminding people why they should be interested in the unique qualities of your business. Collaborations with other providers, farmers, etc., are great, because when people see more than your product in combination with other people's products, inspires ideas. Also, contests and giveaways. At the end of the day, what you're doing is you're educating people about your business, your products, and how they can use your products. The reason why something like TikTok has really amplified and has grown so much is that people do a lot of content where they're showing people how they make something from something else, and that gets people interested, and they're willing to stick around for a couple of minutes to watch it, or a couple seconds. I get asked about this a lot too, like Facebook page. I'm just going to say it, and this is my opinion, but I feel like the Facebook pages is the yellow pages of social media. It's aging out, but it's something that people do similar to a Google My Business page. You post as much of all the information people need to know who are within the Facebook atmosphere, a community, so they know, they have a reference for where your business, they can also do reviews there, etc. If you have Instagram, make sure that you connect or have connected your Facebook page to your Instagram. That way, any content that you share from Instagram, you can turn on and have it go straight to your Facebook page. So in this instance, actually, the what I was gonna say, in this instance, it looks like, they did have a content from their Instagram that probably forwarded over into this page. It's not so much in the number of likes and people are in it, but it's awesome. There's a lot of people engaged with that. And then again, people have left reviews for, they have 97 reviews, which is actually good. And they have it out of 5, they have a 4.9. So it's great. So these are great stats that come just like Google search, they'll come up in people search in Facebook. Maintaining this is important and engaging with people there as well as important, just like the review sites. Also, what's going to be is important is the messenger and setting up FAQs, or if people try messaging you, just standard replies for people when they try sending a message. Maybe they have a typical question, it can send those responses, or just being on top of it and knowing that if people will send you messages there or emails through your website, etc. So those you want to be attentive to. Direct messaging is actually in 2023, a lot of the platforms are geared towards more people directly messaging you and you having to engage with them that way. Okay. So my content creation toolbox include the following. I use a program called Canva to create, and actually this presentation is created in Canva, to create my social media content. They also do have a scheduling app in there for you to schedule your content and post that content, but I don't really use it, but it's helpful. Anyhow, Canva is great. It's what most people are using for graphic design. If you don't want to spend the time with doing your own graphic design on something like Adobe. Linktree, so somebody asked about that. Linktree is mostly been geared towards Instagram and now TikTok as a landing page. So when you go into Instagram or TikTok, you'll notice that you'll have a post and it'll have a caption, and in that caption, unlike Facebook, you can't put a URL for something you want people to go to. So in the captions, you have to write, go to my link in bio. And when they go into your link in bio in your Instagram or in your TikTok, it's a one page. There'll be a linktree.com or Linktree / whatever username you hit. They'll click on that, and what they'll find is buttons that link to the things that you want them to go to, whether it's your website, signing up for a newsletter, a news article, etc. So that one is Linktree is available free to use. There are paid versions, and the paid versions more is customizing that landing page that people go to. I have used both Linktree, and then I'll talk about another link in bio app that I use. Repost is going to be important. As I said, you're going to be collecting content. So if something like accolades or somebody posts about your business and you're able to get permission or credit the other participant who has posted content about you, repost allows you to take the link for that post on social media and then download the caption as well as the image to repost into your Instagram or your TikTok. And if you want to create videos, I highly recommend InShot. You can use it on your phone. It helps you edit videos. But also a lot of the apps like Instagram have great video editors for if you want to make reels, or in TikTok, they have video editors. But InShot is also is a tool that you can use to create some of those different videos. Last is scroll. So one of the things, if you notice content, if you go to an example is you're on Instagram and you're looking at like the Washington Post use what is called carousels, which are up to 10 images, but what looks like is the carousels look like one continuous image when you scroll through those 10 images and tells a story. And Scroll is an app that allows you to create those kind of similar images that are that people can scroll through on the carousel of a continuous images like and layered with one another. Also, you can create reels through there as well. So I always ask people when they look at their branding and their social media, you know, are the images and captions and content align with what you have shared? You know, is it consistent with, again, your brand statement? Everything that you project out with those images and captions, does it align? And will people sense that is consistent with your brand? So just wait a minute, sorry. There you guys. Right. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. So the next thing that's really important is scheduling content. So I know the insanity of having, you know, trying to manage different social media platforms is like scheduling the time to post all of that content. So there are platforms where you can schedule, produce that content and then put it on a platform, which in this case, I use something called later.com, where you can lay out where that content goes and where is it going to publish on those platforms. So actually, I'm going to give an example, show you, hopefully, I don't know if I can show you an example of what that looks like. Oh. And I'm going to have to share, stop my I'm going to do a new share and I show here. Oops, you see that? Right. So, sorry, I'm going to show, this is my other handle. So this scheduler is called later.com. I just want to make sure, James, can you give me a thumbs up if you can see it? Awesome. Okay, so this scheduler is called later.com. There's also Hootsuite and there's something called Buffer. It allows you to upload your content and just drop it and say it's going to go to Instagram, Facebook. It can also go to Twitter as well as LinkedIn and TikTok. There's all of these that you can basically schedule where those posts are going to go. And sometimes I have people who batch all their content and they drop it into a time slot and then it automatically posts for them. I have really loved this app for about 4 years of working with it. It started with being geared towards Instagram, but you know, you can also just do like pre-post and get yourself ready with even your Instagram stories and preload it for yourself and in your media. So so what's cool about it, so this is in the case of Instagram, you can turn on this button. It looks at all of the optimal times people look at your content. And so these pink spots over here show what are the optimal times when most viewers are looking at your content. And so you can drop different content into those boxes. I'm going to give this example. So example, what it looks like. I don't know if you'll be able to see this box. Maybe not. I don't know. Can you see a box yet, James? Sorry. Okay, cool. So in this, when you prepare your content, you can preload your captions. And then in terms of a link in bio, I use their link in bio landing page. I could put up to 5 different links for that post. Sharing, you know, if you have a Shopify account, you can link it there in terms of a product. Or if you have, let's say in this case, I have people register. I tell people I want them to register here, and basically what is the URL? And when people see that content, they'll be able to click on it, and I'll show you what it looks like. So we have my Instagram. So I have 11,000 followers on my Instagram for Vermont Womenpreneurs, which is an organization I co-founded. This is the link in bio, which is over here, which is in our Instagram. And basically you can see, like, I set up a similar post with that link in bio. When people click on it, it goes straight to this link. So if they go live, they can see that. I also can see how many people click it or not, and how many people have saw it. But one of the cool things about having this scheduler, and once you've had your plan and your timeline of what potential content you have, and then create that content, you can drop that content into this calendar. You can upload the media for that, and then you can drop that media into any one of these time slots. Also later.com is great because they have a great blog, and they can walk you through the questions that people are asking, like, how do I make a great reel, or how do I use this feature on Instagram or TikTok? They have an awesome blog that will walk you through tutorials on how to use those tools. And then most importantly, this summarizes the analytics I know of what content people are engaging in with, what hashtags people are engaging with our content. I can get an idea of the number of followers and how they are engaging and interacting with each of the posts I put up, or reels. So I can look at my reels performance and how often people are liking it, saving it, interacting with it, played it, etc. But for the most part, I would say for where most people are going to be at, having a scheduler is going to be really important, just for the layout of your content and to keep you sane. Okay, so I'm going to get out of that. I'm going to share my presentation slides. Okay. So, I have a problem seeing my slides. Okay. Is my screen sharing paused? Looks like, oh yeah. That work? There we go. Resume. I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna do that again. Share. Is it paused? Can you see it? I can't tell anymore. And actually, you might have to speak up. Oh.
I'm not seeing, it says you've started screen sharing, but it's not showing slides on my end.
Interesting. Okay. Is that happening? All right, let me exit my presentation. Sorry guys, technical difficulties. I have multiple screens open right now. Why is it saying pause? I don't know. Huh, I'm not sure on my end why it's paused. Sorry about that. Huh. Oh, right, that's why. Okay, sorry, I remember. I gotta get off of. Where is that screen? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I might have to. I don't know what's going on.
Miyako, if it's easier for me, I have your slides that I can pull up and share. If that is an easier fix than working through whatever on your end is
Yeah,
fine.
that's fine. Yeah, I think. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. All right, why don't you go for that?
Yep, hold it up.
I'm like almost at the end.
While James is working on this, does anybody have any questions that are coming to mind?
I'll address, Susie, you were asking about what's the pros and cons of Linktree. So I would say,
Yes,
yeah.
sorry, yeah, I've heard pros and cons, and the con I've heard is that it doesn't really allow people to experience your website.
Right. Yes and no. I would say, you can clearly have a link that, goes to your website, but it does add one more step. A workaround is you could create a landing page that isn't really, it's not in your menu in your website, but is a landing page where people could go and directly to, and they'll still be on your website, that has buttons, that have to that content. So whether it's maybe an article you want people to read that's associated with your business, you can create that. The issue with that, though, creating your own landing page, is you have to maintain it and make sure it's up to date. So pros and cons, that's the pros and cons. Linktree just kind of makes it easier on the back end. But again, it also depends. I only use Linktree for specifically because I have more than one link I want people to follow, more than just my website, more than just signing up to my newsletter, that they also want, maybe I have an article that was written about my business, so I want people to click on it. Because the other reason I want people to click on it and read that is I also want to encourage that people to raise your search engine optimization to include that article in the top 10 results when they Google your business. So you kind of have to think, like, if you don't have all of that and you just want to direct people to your website, then in your LinkedIn bio and Instagram, just put it there. Just put your website in there. But if you have more things where you're like, oh, this really can help promote my business when people are searching, like articles or videos or other things that are about your business, then it's totally worth it. I think others use a Linktree of, like, if a business is very passionate about something that's happening in their community and they want people to sign up, it's another way to use it.
Yeah, I was going to say it's would be really great for advocacy. I know that a lot of us here do share information, to the public about advocacy and how you can, help local legislators and all this. And that's really hard to do on Insta. And I know that there, is an audience on Insta for that. So
yeah. And I would say for that, I mean, because the dual part about having that Linktree is just one landing page. It's like it's a short list for people to see, like, these are the things that we are interested in. We would like it if you're interested in, because we've posted about it, to check out. Linktree is a lot more easy to manage because you enter the link and then you can also see how many people have looked at that link, whether they sign up. There's a lot of other features in there, which you can't really do when you create it on your website. You create a kind of a version of a landing page for people to find those links. So it's a pros and cons about that. But if you have a lot of things that you want people to go to, Linktree or later.com. Okay, Rick, your question. Should farms have concerns about TikToks? Once you start, be ready. I honestly don't know, since that. Okay, here's my opinion about TikTok. My opinion about TikTok is that it is really geared towards people who I think are prepared to create content. They're really spending a lot of time on building content that is entertaining for either less than 6 seconds or less, and the longest you could go is 6 minutes, but most people are not paying attention to 6 minutes unless it's a panel discussion or something like that. And even then they're not paying attention. I think if you're willing to create content, and the way I've seen farms do this is they go and they give people a tour of the place, or a sampling of what their place is about, a sampling of things like a process, like, whether it's like sugar mapling, or whether it's harvesting or or planting something, short videos, that if you can tie it with trending music, works out well. If you don't want to dance, don't dance. It's not worth it. It's, to go on a platform that you don't want to do. That's why I said, choose your platforms that you want to do. And it does become a slippery slope. I feel like right now I'm on TikTok, but I'm on the fence about it, because my opinion about a lot of the social media, particularly around the creator economy, is that it is centered on you just entertaining other people. So, you know, and that entertainment doesn't necessarily lead to sales. So here or there, I would say, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. That's, you know, keep yourself sane that way. Do you like later.com better than, I hate Facebook Business Suite? That's what I'm going to just say. That's my humble opinion. It's more complicated. A lot of the tools don't work. I know another question somebody has asked is like, is the advertising on Instagram or what's now Meta, Facebook Business Suite, is it worth it? I feel like for local businesses, it's not effective. You know, putting out those ads, I would say even when you do local events, I feel like it's not necessarily the most effective. If you're doing something like it's national spread out, you're selling and shipping your products elsewhere, I could see it work. But again, the idea is that with those advertisers, the funnel is this big in terms of the number of people who are out there who are just perusing and on social media, and you're trying to narrow it down to people who maybe locally, coincidentally, or who's seeking to go out to your business. That's a pretty narrow, like needle in a haystack, trying to find that audience through advertising through those. So I feel like I've once in a while, like I've thrown money into something like Instagram to put for an event or for people to follow. And I would say the cost benefit is pretty nil. Like it's just, it's not intense, definitely for small local businesses and orgs. Yeah, I mean, if people have figured out how to use Meta Biz Suite, more power to you. I just like, I would rather, you know, Instagram's back end of doing ads is a little slightly easier. Okay, and we're almost done with this content, but okay. So Tracy, you're asking QR codes to direct people to your website. Yes, definitely have it. Put it on your, no one takes business cards anymore. Stop wasting printing on business cards. Stop sending out the stuff. Put it on one big poster. Put it in a nice little one of those display cases. Put your QR code for your website or your social to increase people's following. Just have it there. People will use it because no one brings business cards, and that will be a lot of wasted trees when you do that.
If you're picking where to direct that though, Miko, where do you think it's better to go to the link tree or to the website so that people could custom design exactly what they want to go to?
Website, because the link tree is only really for the purpose of Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and directing them to certain things like directly from that content. But I would say your website, but then again, be prepared when that QR code should be linked to the part of the website you want them to visit. And it has to be a really good first impression, well-designed, doesn't load slow. It's going to be like, it's the first impression. So remember that, test it as many times as possible. I can't emphasize that enough. Okay. All right, so actually, if you could go to the next one after the scheduler, I feel like I made a mistake there. So we're going to talk about engagement, and we're also going to talk about reputation management. So where you understand what your brand is, we're going to talk about how you engage and maintain your reputation with your customers. So next one. So it's interesting, like actually this, I think it's like a month ago, the chief creator for Instagram noted, and because I think way things like TikTok is happening, and well as the trends for creators building communities, virtual communities to follow their content and etc. The comment has been that Reels are still going to be relevant, and so is, or TikToks are going to be relevant, creating those short stories, those popping in about your business, why people, or an aspect of your business that people should learn about. But what is really the tools within those are how people can directly engage with you. So they may, like your content, or they might say, I want to learn more about your business, or I want to share, I want you to respond to it. So Instagram, actually, they just released this too, this feature which is a lead generation form in the advanced, like on Instagram, you go into settings and there's like I can't remember, there's an advanced form where people can click on, you see the buttons on your profile, they can click on it and they can enter information. So you can get to know that customer directly, you can add them to your mailing list, or you can follow up with them directly about your business to them, etc. So it's a new feature that just got added. If you want to know the newest features and how it functions, if you're on Instagram, check out Jen's Trends. She is a huge Instagram expert, and she will tell you, like, she'll show you how to use some of these new features and what she thinks, how they're going to be useful for businesses. Other ways you're going to engage with people is if people tag you on a post or they say something, is just to comment back and on those comments from those people in like an Instagram post. So people can see that you're seeing it, that you're acknowledging something that they've written. So that's one way. Don't leave your inbox or your DM box full of messages. You need to respond to them as soon as you can. What Instagram and Facebook will note, but also on Facebook pages, is they'll note what your response time is. So people do see that and they'll be like, is this the right place to message you, etc. But again, direct engagement, this is where, you have to make sure you take the time to be able to do that and directly engage with customers through those different means. If they're finding you, and I said at the end of the megaphone through social media, you need to engage with them. So then you get them closer to the funnel of going to your website and going directly to your business or your organization. Next one. Sorry, I was just like tempted to. So reputation management. So, the key to it again is, as I said, you can't ever get rid of negative reviews. You can only bring in and encourage more people to bring positive reviews. So, if you're doing, you can also use a QR code where people are like, if you really like our business, we'd love to have your Google review, or we would love to have your review on Facebook, and getting them to that link to write that review and give you like a positive. So while it's fresh in their mind, to make sure they're kind of bumping you up and then kind of pushing down any negative comments that are out there. But just know that it's harder to get rid of negative contents, but at the same time, you just need the whole volume of positives reviews to be on there. And so when somebody sends a positive review, and send them a thank you and write that in the review as a reply, because you can do that on Google reviews, or you can do that in Facebook pages. But if you have, then same for negatives, just try and be like, we'll try our best, or how can we remedy this situation? This happens if you look at, when you look at apps, people will have a negative response to an app, and then the app designers will have a reply back to folks, just so that like, at least like that looks like they're considering making an improvement to their app. If you get an accolade, let's say a great review or a video in the news or something, share it, post about it on your business page, post about it on all your different social media sites, and post it in your website. Amplify that, get people to read it, watch it, whatever it is, consume it. And the end goal is for those accolades to be in your top 10 listings when people Google or search your business. So encourage people to be supportive by also supporting anything that's wonderful read about you. The other way in terms of managing kind of like your reputation is, if you don't have this already, I don't know how many have, but if you, in your email exchanges, create an email signature that includes your website, your socials, etc. I'm trying to remember what tool I use. I have one that generates a really nice design email signature, and I can switch between my email signatures, but it has everything like my name, my business, and it's called Wise Stamp. Sorry, I just remember that. It's Wise Stamp. It can help you create a really clean signature, and then you can put things like your your social media, your website, also either a Shopify account, or could put something like a scheduler. So if you want people to schedule appointments, it can do that there. But it's really cool. I've been using that for years, and then I can switch between different signature lines within Google to be able to use it, as well as in my phone. And then again, for reputation management in general, you want to monitor your Google reviews, your Yelp reviews, Facebook, TripAdvisor, just what people are saying. So turning on notifications to let people know, ping when somebody says something like fabulous about you. I used to do that for the Burlington Farmers Market. Anybody who posts a review, I get to look at it, I respond to it, or like if they post a photo. One of the things too, actually, particularly for Google, when people post photos, they can share their photos. Want to make sure it's the correct one for your business. So let's say there's a nearby business, but the only thing closest they found was your business. You want to make sure that the picture is the correct one associated with your business. This happens a lot for farmers markets. We get I know for when I was running the Burlington Farmers Market, we got labeled in a lot of pictures for other businesses that were not our business. So those are the things that you want to monitor and report about, so that people in Google Maps don't get confused. Okay, next one, I think. I don't know, where am I at? So my final thoughts. Okay, so again, brand awareness is kind of, it goes hand in hand with content creation, what you plan and how you utilize those platforms. People kind of make their snap judgments about your business. But those tools are also ways visually as well auditory wise for them to experience your business, initially engage with it, and hopefully in person get to be customers. We're trying to build trust and loyalty among folks to feel like you're honoring your brand promise, what you consistently can deliver. And at the end of the day, it takes a very short amount of time for people to leave with an impression that is both either satisfied or disappointed, and they will show one way or the other. They will either not go to your business, or they will not spend a lot of time on your website, or they might give you poor reviews once they've experienced a business. Or they might give you accolades. All of that is part of your engagement and management. And these are all aspects that you think about throughout the year, but you can also plan how best you can be interacting and engaging with your audience from here on out. And I think this is my last part. Thank you. And I want to give you best of luck. I have a button where I can review a bunch of people's sites, but I've heard some of the challenges that were mentioned there, but I want to give the opportunity for folks to ask any further questions or assessments. Is there a sweet spot for number of posts that keeps people in your that keeps you in people's mind but doesn't become irritating by overposting? Yeah, no magic number, but I would say definitely don't wait to post once a month, but at least post once or twice a week. You want to also mix and match what you're doing, whether it's photo content and video content, just to give it varied. I think a lot of people spend a lot of time in the last, 5 years of like, let's make it like when you look at the Instagram, I always say, if you look at Instagram as when people look at your profile, it's almost like looking at a magazine, like multiple magazine covers. You have a 3x3, which is 9 posts. People are kind of, they can see, if they look at your profile, they can see that that layout. And so you need to think about like, what's the impression that people get when they see those first 9 posts on your profile. Some of you I looked at, like, well, you've done some really cool things where you just posted, beautiful flowers or fields. And so it feels pretty consistent for what people should expect. But again, like, think about that first impression, what people are going to see when they see a single post to then looking at your whole profile. What program do you use for scheduling events, and how does that fit into your website and or social media? So in this case, if you're talking about like live in person or Zoom events, I use Eventbrite. And the reason is a couple-fold. They do have a lot of good integrations with Facebook and Instagram. I have stopped short. I have utilized their, they have their own arm of advertising that they can do on your behalf and do kind of a similar version of Meta Business Suite. I feel, I don't know, like judging from the way I've done events, sort of effective, I guess. But the cool thing about that, if you use Eventbrite though, you can encourage people to be followers of your profile there. And so whenever you have an event that you're running under your organization or your business, people will be alerted that that upcoming event is happening because they liked your event in the past, or they have attended your event in the past, and then it encourages them to register. Is there generally a good time to post? So I will say people are going to recommend for different industries what is a good time. And I've if you saw in my scheduler what I put, like the gray ones were like what generally have been recommended in like whatever trending. I think I haven't updated, but like 2021 was the last time I looked at like what are peak times that people look. And actually where I rely on is when I turn on that mode for those pink zones, which shows this is actually when people actually look at your content. And so how that's generated is you just kind of like throwing darts. You keep putting content at different times of day. And you'll see when people are online and they're picking it up. And so that's when those popular areas are noted. But again, like a scheduler may have really good analytics to help you figure those times out. Suggestions on most effective social media tools with paid posts. Rick, can you elaborate on that?
Sure. Hang on a second. So I work with the Department of Agriculture in Massachusetts, and we're looking at paying for posts, but I always kind of do informal surveys to farmers. If they have a small budget, they want to boost a post.
Okay.
What suggestions are most effective to, the audience? We always think of typical maybe moms making decisions on food decisions and buying, purchasing, but just looking for general feedback that you've heard from other farms and successes with that.
Wow, paid posts. So most paid posts are like, I would say programs. So the end goal, so the call to action is you want people to go and sign up to a program, or you want them to utilize a program. And so having a really, having a post that exhibits the action of being part of that program are really effective visually for people to want to sign up. Video content is also helpful, where if people are either giving a testimonial or they're talking about that program. If it's for farmers, let's say it's a farmer program where they're you want to encourage them to enroll in a program, to participate. Having a farmer who has gone through the program or is supportive of that program is great. Having them do it like a short little documentary, a testimonial for under a minute, like that's edited, it's well polished. those are worthwhile because people are engaged in the find your the experience page or find your, I can't remember, it's like FYP, find your profile. I can't remember. When people are exploring those pages, what pops up for them is based on what their interests are. Those kind of videos will pop up into their ads. So, does that help? I always say just like making sure that whatever images you use informs people about what you want people to do as the action.
Yeah, yeah, I was just wondering if there was experience of you or anybody paying Facebook posts, or do you pay for Instagram? If you wanted, say I only have 10 followers and I want to pay to get my new farm out there or some new
Yeah.
addition, how do I amplify it? You gave a lot of great suggestions on
Yeah,
free
so
thinking, but I want to make some, I have $20 or $50, I want to boost something. What other options are worth it? Maybe there aren't. I'm just curious.
I feel like I feel mixed about them trying to gain followers through paid ads because it's a hit or miss. And then at the end of the day, when you get that many followers, it's a question of whether they'll engage or stay on and being followers. So that's one aspect. One thing I found with some of the friends I know who are successful, like they had a huge number of followers, is first letting go of something going viral, because some things can accidentally become viral. So something, one farm I knew was like, they suddenly became famous because they just like took a short video of their ducks going across the road. And like, they're a flower farm, okay, but they just did that, and then all of a sudden, this is early days, probably like 5-8 years ago, they went viral and it went on the news, and then people started following them on Instagram and loving the pictures that they put about their farm, and they also bake and they're at farmers markets. So you kind of, one of the things you have to prepare for is once you put that kind of content out there, you got to keep producing content that will attract people that way. So it's not just trying to gain followers, you got to maintain them by creating similar content. So is it worth it? Like, I wouldn't pay for ads to encourage followers. What I would say is in the early stages, when you're under 1,000 followers, the direct contact and engaging people to follow if they're on Instagram is going to be important. And then thereafter, of like, hey, can you spread the news, and people doing collaborations on content is going to be helpful. Takeovers are really also helpful. They're actually, if you have a stronger organization that has more followers, and being able to collaborate with them to take over their feed, or to be able to do collaborate in Instagram, you can do collaboration posts. Those actually increase the number of followers more than just putting a paid ad. Another tactic is also giveaways are actually another way when you collaborate with another higher follower organization. Doing a giveaway that has both of those products, and you say, hey, can you follow and tag, and we'll give you XYZ that has this value. It increases the number of followers, and generally, if you can keep up the content that will keep them interested, they will stay on as followers. Does that make sense? But like, there's other ways, and I wouldn't feed the beast.
Right.
I think it's not necessarily worth it. There are other ways to get around it, and that are also they're more sincere and authentic.
All right, thanks.
Who else? Thank you, Tracy. If James, I don't know if you want, this is a good time to share what your thoughts and what CMAQ can provide.
Yeah, absolutely. First off, thank you again, Miyako, for everything you just presented, all that information. It's super helpful. I'm sure folks are getting a ton out of this. I did on my end as well. And I know the more we share this, I'm sure the more people will be able to learn and take away and build on this. What I would say from the CMAP perspective is a lot of things that Miyako touched on are things that we can help folks who are in region with as well. Things I put, some of these ended up in the chat. So if you didn't see them there, some of them are there, but if you didn't see them, I'll list them off. Google reviews, we do a program with, we can design postcards with a QR code that you can have for your customers, and they can pick up, scan, and build up that sort of volume of positive reviews from folks as they're coming through and as they're using your business. So that's one thing we do in particular. But broadly speaking, we offer a lot of different variety in business assistance and technical assistance. Some of it's very digital focused. We can help with websites, help with social media planning, things like that, but also that broader base of assistance we can provide in other aspects of running your business. Again, there's a lot of things, obviously, numbers that you have to juggle in running your business. Social media and the online presence is just one of many things. And so there's lots of different programs and things that we can do to help with that. A lot, again, some of them particular to this stuff. Help with whether it's a better understanding of some of the analytics stuff. Again, better building up some of these things. If you don't have a website yet, if you're looking to redesign that website, we can take some time and come in and look at that. There's again, a plethora of things that we can do if you're in region. I'd be talking too long to rattle them all off, and I don't want to do that all now at the end of this call. But again, I think, Shannon, do you have a link to our page you can drop in, or anything else you want to add?
Sure, yeah, definitely. Yeah, a few other things coming to mind. E-commerce was mentioned a bunch today, and that can be something that's intimidating to kind of jump into, but it's also really useful, and it's really, gonna create a change in your business. So I put a link earlier in the chat to the CSA Innovation Network. Surveyed a bunch of farmers on which e-commerce platforms they use and ranked them. And it's the resource that I send to folks who are trying to decide which platform to get started with. There are a lot of platforms out there, and some of them are farm specific. You probably have heard of Barn to Door or Grown By, or some of these other local food marketplace is a big one in this region. So there's a lot of platforms to choose from. And that is a really good resource for deciding what you might want to do. That is also something that we can help out with one-on-one. If even after looking at that resource, you just don't know where to turn, that's something we can help out with. So I'm putting the link to our business assistance program in the chat. We can offer business assistance to farmers, fishers, and food producers in Norfolk, Bristol, and Plymouth counties of Massachusetts. If you are a beginning farmer, which we call 10 years or less in a farm management position, and you're based in Barnstable or Suffolk County, we can also help you out. If you're outside of that region, still get in touch. We can find the right person to help you out. There is a CMAP equivalent in every county in Massachusetts, and then we also have some connections outside of Massachusetts. And like I said, it's really, our business assistance program is really expansive. So even outside of digital marketing, we work on grant writing all the time, bookkeeping. We're organizing a workshop series for basic Excel skills. So there's just a huge depth of things that we can offer you one-on-one and in workshop spaces.
Oh,
all right,
cool.
So any questions about that? Any questions about the digital marketing bit? What's on people's minds? This was a lot of information, and I want to kind of take everyone's temperature on how we're feeling with all of this.
I do want to bring up one more thing. If you have a brick and mortar, it's weird, but it's a thing called, it's a counter that counts how many followers, whether it's whatever, Instagram, you can link it to, TikTok, whatever. It's called Smurl.com. It's Smurl counters. It's actually populated a lot on Instagram. But if you have one of those Smurl readers, if you have like a brick and mortar or whatever, people can actually directly see themselves following you on it. And it's really because of Pavlovian effect that people are like wanting to engage with you. So check it out. I got one of these and it's weird. Also, I can tell when like some content goes well and some content does not go well when I listen to that counter, weirdly enough.
Cool. I'm going to turn off our recording, and maybe that will